Imagine starting a birthday hike in Hawaii and ending the morning with a bloody trail, two strangers calling for help, and a courtroom arguing over the same few minutes. That is the headline in the case of Gerhardt and Arielle Konig. Prosecutors said Gerhardt had 3 possible ways to kill his wife. The defense said there was no plan at all, that Arielle attacked first and Gerhardt fought back. The jury did not simply choose one headline over the other. On April 8, 2026, it rejected the attempted murder conviction prosecutors wanted, but found Gerhardt guilty of attempted manslaughter based on extreme mental or emotional disturbance. So before we get into the evidence, here is the question that actually matters. What happened on that trail? And how much of the dramatic story could the jury really prove? Let me give you the setting first, because the setting changes the meaning of every decision that follows. Gerhardt and Arielle lived on Maui. They traveled to Oahu for Arielle's birthday and chose the Pali Puka Trail, a narrow ridge route with steep drop-offs. This was not a sidewalk where someone could simply walk around the argument and call it a day. On a trail like that, a shove, a stumble, or a struggle can become life-threatening very quickly. The couple also arrived with a relationship already under strain. Court reporting described messages between Arielle and a coworker. Arielle characterized that relationship as an emotional affair. Gerhardt testified that he believed she had been unfaithful. They had gone to counseling. Those details give us context for the tension, but they do not prove a motive, and they do not excuse violence. They are the background to the argument, not the answer to it. Now the story splits. The prosecution's theory was built around 3 alleged options. First, prosecutor Joel Garner said Gerhardt tried to move Arielle toward the cliff. Then, prosecutors said there was an attempt to use a syringe, and when those options failed, they said he picked up a rock. That is where the phrase 3 plans comes from. It is a prosecution theory, not a camera recording. The defense disputed that any plan existed, so I am going to keep the labels on the story as we go. Alleged, disputed, testified, corroborated. Those words may sound cautious, but here they are, the difference between a dramatic claim and a proven fact. Arielle's account described a sudden attack. She said Gerhardt moved her toward the edge. She went to the ground to hold on. She said he had a syringe or vial during the struggle, that she knocked it away, and that he struck her with a rock. She also described yelling for help while the fight continued. Then 2 hikers heard the cries. That interruption is the first moment when the story leaves the couple's competing accounts and meets outside witnesses. The hikers moved toward the sound, saw enough to call for help, and helped Arielle down the trail. Her injuries were serious, including large cuts to her head and face. Investigators and trial witnesses also discussed blood at the scene, the rock, phone evidence, and what happened after the hikers arrived. But the interruption did not give the jury a perfect replay. The hikers arrived during the struggle, not before it. They could describe what they saw, but they could not settle every question about how the fight began. Gerhardt gave the jury a completely different sequence. He testified that Arielle was the aggressor, that she hit him with a rock first, and that he struck her in self-defense. He denied trying to push her over the edge. He denied bringing syringes onto the mountain. And then there was the phone call to his adult son. Prosecutors said Gerhardt told his son that he had tried to kill Arielle and that she had gotten away. The defense denied that he confessed and argued that the call was a goodbye call. Same call, 2 meanings. Once again, the jury had to decide how timing, testimony, and physical evidence fit together without a neutral camera showing the beginning, middle, and end of the struggle. This is the part that can get lost when a headline takes over. Some facts were not seriously disputed. The couple was on the trail. Arielle was injured. Hikers responded. Police became involved. Gerhardt was charged with second-degree attempted murder. But the central actions remained contested. A syringe was alleged and denied. A push was alleged and denied. The first strike was alleged and denied. The first strike was alleged by both sides, with each side assigning it to the other person. The physical evidence could show consequences. It could not automatically tell the jury whose version of the opening seconds was true. That is why the trial was not just a search for one shocking detail. It was an argument about how much meaning the evidence could carry. The trial lasted weeks. Gerhardt had been in custody since his arrest. The jury considered the top charge and possible lesser outcomes. On April 8, 2026, the verdict came back: attempted manslaughter based on extreme mental or emotional disturbance. That legal phrase matters because it is neither the headline prosecutors wanted nor a finding that nothing serious happened. The jury did not return an attempted murder conviction. It also did not decide that the trail encounter was harmless. Reporting on the verdict said jurors believed the relationship conflict mattered to the emotional disturbance question. The jury foreperson also said they did not view an intent to murder as probable on the evidence presented. In plain English, the verdict treated the relationship and emotional context as relevant without accepting the most extreme version of the prosecution's story. As of August 1, 2026, sentencing was scheduled for August 13, and the defense had said it planned to appeal. That status can change, so it is worth checking before treating this as the final chapter. And this is where I want to bring the story back to the viewer. A beautiful place can make a situation feel safe. A familiar relationship can make a warning sign feel explainable. A confident headline can make a disputed sequence sound settled. The useful lesson is not to decide a stranger's guilt from the most dramatic sentence you read online. It is to notice when the story has competing accounts, ask what was actually observed, and bring other people in early when a situation starts to feel dangerous. The birthday hike began as an ordinary plan. The verdict did not erase what happened on that trail, but it did force the headline to become more precise. When a story is frightening, precision is not a colder way to tell it. It is how we keep the truth from being replaced by the most satisfying version of the story.